Hello, Scott. Thank you for being here with us.
I love just starting the recording button. So you have to jump right in and introduce me, because otherwise we'd have fun chatting for hours and we'd never get the show done.
Correct.
But there's a lot to discuss that's off the record, so to speak. That's good for everybody. We're not hiding anything. We just don't have time to put it in one radio show. But it'll come out in the end, and everybody will know on this planet anyway. So if you asked me if I was worried about the future, I'd have to tell you, how about no? That's it. People want me to elaborate on that. I won't do it. I just simply am not concerned about the future at all.
You are Mr. Present, right?
Huh?
Mr. Present, Mr. Now.
Well, yeah, but I go into the past and the future too, and into other dimensions. But I stay focused in creative contribution to the good of all life in the present moment, where good can be done, where change can occur. You can't change the past. You can change what happens now that makes the future different than Armageddon and the end of the world nonsense. You know, there's people that believe that they don't have to change themselves at all because they've been convinced that they're saved by some savior or some guru or something that's told them they're going to be just fine when they die, which there's no verifiable proof that that's true. What's better is if a person understands who they are and where they're going when the body dies, so there's no mystery to it, no fear. When people leave this life in fear, it creates the circumstances they're afraid of. And oftentimes it makes them, out of a false sense of security, compels them to come back and find another body, a baby body, and get born with no memory again. That doesn't work, ever, for a person who wants to get enlightened or free. So, I do not have any correspondence with or any association with whatsoever any religion on this planet in any way, shape, or form. I'm not against any of them. I'm not their enemy. But I don't affiliate myself with any of them because they frankly are too backward, and they, out of their own ignorance, tend to trap people in ignorance their whole life. Just to support a religious cause or make money, they keep people ignorant of the truth that exists beyond this planet. Out in space, in other dimensions, when they leave their body and go to other realities, what it's like, it keeps them ignorant of the heavens they think they're going to when they die. And you can't go to any heaven that's permanent when you don't know what it is before you leave this life ahead of time. Because these higher planes do not allow people to go into them permanently who aren't advanced, mature, experienced, and trustworthy, not to go up there and mess things up with their ignorance and fear. It's just that simple. So, I don't like to get into the word religion or debate it. My work has nothing to do with the religions on this planet. It is not against any of them, but it is not supportive of any of them. They've done nothing but trap people in ignorance for thousands upon thousands of years. And the world does not change. My work is about actual change, particularly in changing the past prophesied destructive Armageddon nature of what people put out there thousands of years ago for the end of the world. Because I know for a fact that has been permanently altered forever in recent years, which means the future of this planet is entirely different than it would have been had something not changed from outside this earth that's directly involving this planet and many others. So you see, I can't bring that truth about greater spirit or wisdom or love or the eternal nature of the Atma, which isn't the physical body, to people who are steeped in brainwashed ways of belief that were orchestrated as a fact by tyrant kings controlling priestcraft in the history of this planet to keep people under the thumb of some tyrant. And that is the world's religions today. And people mean well in all of them, I'm sure, at least in some. But they're asked to believe in something someone outside tells them is true, like a priest or in a book. And they're asked to believe it without experience. This is wrong. It just makes them as ignorant as the day they were born. And then they, grow old and die, gasp their last breath, and go out of this life believing something, but really never being sure about it, which means there's doubt involved. And behind doubt, hidden in the subconscious, is fear. And behind fear is terror of knowing the truth. Fear. Programmed fear that says you can't know the truth or something bad will happen to you. Because something bad did happen to them before they found themselves on this planet with no memory, no awareness of anything that they were before they were born here. And people think this is what is normal. The fact is, it is not normal at all. People on Earth don't have anything to compare it to with races, including human on other worlds, because the governments of this planet have spent trillions of dollars keeping the whole issue of whether extraterrestrials exist or not classified worldwide after World War II. It's way past the time to disclose the existence of life on other worlds. It's coming. There are official government channels, even classified people, that are setting up slowly, way too slowly, because they're so afraid of letting the truth out. They might all get lynched by a pissed off bunch of people that were lied to. But this isn't the way this is happening. The work I do with others from other planets are helping this happen in a way that's non-destructive. So they're beginning to disclose things now that were classified. And that's good, because it's leading the way for them to feel secure enough to get in the White House press conference or somewhere in the world and announce the truth to the whole planet. And the reason they're going to have to do this is because races in great numbers from the stars are focused on this world. And what's moving in this direction cannot be suppressed much longer by any classified system in existence on this world. They're not going to have a choice to lie to people anymore. And that's coming. Make no mistake about that one. It is. It isn't going to be a destructive change, as most people imagine in their subconsciously terrorized emotions and imagination. People have grown up on this planet in fear of nuclear war, have they not? Everybody living today still has that fear because they see people posturing with nuclear weapons on rockets that might be launched. They don't tell the people is they're not allowed to launch them. When they've tried, they've had their launch computers shut down, so that's not going to be allowed anyway. As long as people, especially governments, think self-righteously and incorrectly that they have the right to know something they think the rest of the masses of people are too stupid and ignorant to know, but they get to know it to protect you. That's self-delusional. And it's designed to support an elite, wealthy class of people. Period. Only. That won't work to move this planet towards a safe future. That will only destroy all life on this planet, which they would already have succeeded in doing had it been allowed. So when I say I'm not worried about the future, I mean I'm not worried about the future at all. I don't think most people on Earth even understand what that's like. To live every day not fearing the future is pretty liberating. And yet, to me, that's just normal. To many beings in other worlds and other realities, not fearing the future is also normal. For the mass of people on Earth, that is not normal yet. Okay. What I do when I do it, especially like for your show or any other thing I do publicly, there's much that I do that is not public, that is recorded. When I work with people in private and group sessions, there's only a handful. And there's no money involved, no monetary systems involved in that work. I sell books through trustworthy online retailers around the world because otherwise people would have no way of getting this information any other way worldwide. There has to be a way for them to be printed on demand and shipped to people all over the world when they're ordered, one way or another. So the books have to be published. They're published through my publishing company now. The New York publisher, the former publisher of the Sarah's Agenda, is out of the picture. I have all the rights to the book now, and I'm publishing both books through my own company, which means they will never cease to be published. They're going to continue to be published, and then eventually in all languages until everyone on this earth makes a change, a leap into an unexpected new future. And billions of beings in other worlds and other realities involved in this now, in such vast numbers beyond the population of this planet. This little planet and its misdirected people are not going to stand in the way of that movement for much longer. There are people in high circles in government and classified in the system that know they have no future in space. Right now, the way governments are and the way they're misdeceiving people, because that won't be tolerated out there, period. Unless you're a tyrant, in which case you'll lose anyway. So there's no future in it. There's no future for this planet and its people to go play among the stars the way they are now. Countries don't even get along. The threat of nuclear war, lying to people about it, just to hold it over their heads, to control them, to keep the status quo, to fund classified projects, to keep the tax dollars rolling in, only works if you lie to people. It only works if you lie to everyone. And people lying to people makes them uncomfortable, hurts them, causes disease. It's not healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for the ruling class. It's not healthy for the classified people. It's not healthy for the masses of people. It's just not good, period. The more people on Earth begin to realize that telling the truth sets them free, telling the truth to people who really would be extremely relieved to know it sets a whole mass of energy free on a planetary scale that can be used to constructively change this world. Not by ourselves, but with the help from people who would give it to us freely from other world systems. They would be happy to do that if they think we're not insane, crazy people, nuttier than fruit baskets. Anybody that would set off a nuclear bomb in their own atmosphere just to test it are nuttier than anybody in a nut house. There's nobody out there in the universe who would do that to their own atmosphere and planet ever. People did it without even thinking about it. Here. And these are the people you would trust to run your planet for you? The people that would push a button if push came to shove and tried to in the last 65 years a number of times? That's not the kind of people that are going to be allowed to play among the stars. Just isn't. So, when people are out of their bodies at night, sleeping, when their body's asleep, and this goes for anybody on this earth, they're getting approached, helped, uplifted, enlightened, more and more. And when they come back to their bodies, even in the classified arena, they have a different change of heart. Most of those people around the world do no longer want to keep this classified system going. because it hurts them and their families. It's destructive. There's no such thing as deception and dishonesty that can be good for you, even as an elite group, because it's a negative wave of imagination that goes out in the universe and by the primary law of physics creates an equal but opposite reaction. So what they put out comes back to them, and they're always spending more money and shuffling the mistakes they make to try to keep it covered up. And it's trying to wake up everywhere. Eventually, it'll just open. It's coming. It's not to harm anyone. I've made this clear from day one when I came out and started doing this work that I came to this planet to do in the first place. It's not about harming classified people or government people or royal families or the mass of people. It's about helping everybody recover who they are as a being, not a body. Because people in other worlds know the difference. So why shouldn't the people of Earth also know this? I don't care what religion they're in. They should know this, and they don't. They have belief that they're a soul, but they don't know what it is. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know it's them, and they don't know how to move it around consciously. So they look in the mirror and say, I'm this body. That's how they grow up on this planet. And all their people around them, PhDs, all believe the same way and teach the same thing. So why should people on Earth know any different when they're adults? You see, that's why I say we're going to need help, massive help from people from other worlds that are kind, in order to turn this planet around in time, to save it from poisoning itself to death, if nothing else. All you got to do is raise the seawater a couple of degrees, and the polar ice caps not only melt, but all the plankton and the oxygen-producing microscopic animals in the ocean die. 70% of the world's oxygen comes from the oceans. You kill that, we're done. It's over here. Extraterrestrial kind beings know that. They know how to solve that problem. They know how to correct it in a day, worldwide. But they're not tyrants. They're not going to force it on anybody here. We have to ask for it. So that's what we're heading towards. Just a little humility. It doesn't mean that people from other worlds are going to lord it over us. Only tyrants do that. It means they want to help set the potential free that's in the human race on this planet, because people right now don't have a clue about anything. What they are that isn't physical, how to move around the universe, how to be telepathic, have a photographic memory, live 1,000 years, they don't know any of it. And it's normal for many worlds out there right now. Normal. It's not in the future. I know worlds out there with humans on it that live like this, aware of what they are that isn't physical, raising families on benevolent governance systems in the hundreds of millions that are human and humanoid. They're not like Earth. What is it taking for Earth to catch up to them? Is there a price you have to pay in trillions of emeralds or gold in order to get their help? No. They don't use money. It takes a mass of people collectively requesting this world be transformed. They have the technology and the spirituality and the understanding to do it. But many of the ways of people's beliefs on this earth that have kept this place in destructive conflict, religiously and politically, have to be given up for a greater understanding of what people think the supreme being and the source of all life is. You know, they have to give it up, stop this petty crap. They can't do it on their own because they no longer have free will enough to do it. This is a fact. People on Earth do not have free will. The great majority of them do not. They think they do, but they do not. It's been taken from them. All they've got is belief. They don't have telepathy anymore. It's been shut down. Oh, intuition. You're never sure about that. What happened to the photographic memory? There's 100% of 100% of brain developed in all human beings, and they use 6 to 10% of it. What? You're kidding, right? That means people are genetically developed as human beings on this planet, the physical form. And certain genomes that have been turned off on the DNA need to be turned back on in people on this planet. So that higher faculties and former awareness that they are as a being can be moved through the nervous system consciously. There's a lot that needs to change here. But it is not about doing it in a destructive manner. People in power aren't going to be harmed. Their consciousness is going to change. And this is inevitable at this point. It cannot be reversed, what's underway now. So, I will put this out on your show because no one else on earth is doing that anywhere right now, period. They don't know because they don't get off world amounts those races out in the other dimensions and experience it for themselves. How could they know? They've got belief, that's about it. You know, there's people that were abducted on this planet by little grays, and they're messed with and experimented on, their consciousness wiped, put back in bodies, and they were all psychologically ruined. They were already ruined before it happened because they didn't remember who they were. But then that put another pressure cap on top of them, and reverse hypnosis regression therapy sessions freed them just because they were allowed to remember what was suppressed, just because of that. Then they could live a normal life like the one they had before they were abducted. But it didn't wake them up anymore. It's deeper than that. So there has to be an emissary, there has to be representative or representatives from other world systems in operation here for the benefit of all life. For the benefit of all life out in the multidimensional universe, for the benefit of all life in parallel dimensions, on planet Earth that people on Earth don't even know yet exist. People on this world have no right to blow themselves up and affect that just because they're ignorant that it's not there. They don't understand it. They think this is it. They can't perceive past the end of their nose. The life that's in parallel dimensions, besides all the universes they see on one parallel dimensional level through the Hubble telescope out in space, that's only one level of 144 in the physical universe alone. Wow. Wouldn't it be fun to be free to play in all that? How would it be to raise your kids on field trips to other planets? This planet doesn't have to develop this 2,000 years ago in the future like Star Trek. It could have this now. But it would have to be imported. Hydrogen bomb and nuclear bomb technology was never developed on this earth by people, by themselves. In a diabolical way, that information was secretly snuck into German scientists before World War II. Hitler was being set up to wipe out 3/4 of the population of this planet, and that is exactly what he was intending to do. And then he was stopped. The sponsors of that diabolical nonsense were not from this world. And they were doing it breaking an off-world treaty that was created at the end of a great galactic war 500,000 years ago. If it hadn't been policed, we'd all be dead now on this planet. There is life beyond Earth. And if it hadn't intervened at least enough to stop us from nuclear war, the knuckleheads on this planet would have ended it all. Think about it. Would men who set off hydrogen bombs with radioactive negative repercussions spread all over the world, set off hydrogen bombs in their own atmosphere, would you trust those people later not to push the button? The same people? See the problem? They aren't operating from free will at all. They're operating from fear. Operating from fear subconsciously always makes the wrong choices. Always, because it's negative. So in order to change that, people on earth have to be set free not to imagine or think or feel in fear about the future in any way, shape, or form. Tall order. The beings that run bodies on earth that don't know they're beings running bodies have the capability to do this. I know this for a fact. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be wasting my time with any of this for people on this planet. Step aside and let the place go up and smoke. Back with it. I mean, that would be how I would view it if I couldn't do anything about it. Or if I didn't know people had the potential to recover what's been suppressed in them. I'm doing it because I know they have the ability. I've been through it myself. I'm a living example of getting through it. And I'm just a being like you or anyone else. That translates to a genuineness of energy that's telepathic, a certain kind of energy that's not molecular, cannot be controlled by negative beings or technology, and it comes out to this world unstoppable for the benefit of all life for the first time. This is what we're about here. That's why I do this radio show. There's no other reason. There's no money involved here for me on these shows. I don't charge anybody anything. I tell them about books they can buy because I know for a fact that will help them. They spend money all their lives on stuff that's worthless. You buy a couple of books that change your life forever because they're not just books. This book was designed off-world as an interdimensional doorway. When people go through it and they understand it, they begin to see it and imagine what's in it. They're actually seeing it for themselves. It was set up this way by Ambassador Terrellian, among others.
Scott, this book was written by your own experience, right?
Right.
Because someone just wrote me asking like the name is not matching with the person on earth, but you have to change the name and location, right? For your book.
What name is not matching with the person?
The president, because in your book you mentioned like the president and the person that involved in the.
Let me ask you how silly those people are asking that question. They're asking it from fear, and they're asking it because do they really believe that I would be so stupid as to involve the actual president's name in my book without their permission? How long do you think that book would be allowed to be published once they found that out? If I did that, these people aren't thinking clearly. If I did that, this book would never have been published. I don't have the right to use the names of those people without their conscious enlightenment and agreement. Do I?
Mm-hmm.
No. So it's written in a way that will work. I didn't publish this book as nonfiction. I published it as fiction. I'll read you the back of the statement on this book. This book, based on the author's direct experiences with hidden truth, was published in a fiction category because a few characters' names and several event locations on Earth were changed to protect the innocent majority of people today, until the unexpected, recently begun uplifting worldwide transformation is more openly underway. Period. I would rather have published it as nonfiction, but if I did that, then I'd have to list all those names. I'd have to disclose the locations exactly where these underground bases are. And that's against classified laws right now. If I say it's in Arizona, it's in Arizona. But I'm not going to tell people how to get inside it because they'd get killed trying. I'm not here to help them get harmed. It's just that simple. I hope that answers their question. And if they're smart and intelligent and waking up, and I think they are, they will say, oh, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
At least
they would get
they do. And if they don't get it, well, that's too bad. Because I have to publish this with friends from out of town, from off-world, the way we see fit. Not the way people on Earth think it should be done because of fear that drives them. That would be a mistake. Believe me, when I first came out with this work, it was quite a controversy for me to decide to publish it as nonfiction. I decided against it. I decided not to do it that way because it puts me in the same category as all the UFO researchers and people on Earth that are not experienced. They're making money on books, talking about other whistleblowers and who's making what and who's doing what. And that's good, I suppose, because it helps people become aware of what's been classified. Ultimately, that helps with disclosure. But their work, for the most part, is not based on their own experience. That's okay, too, because it can be helpful. Data and facts about other people's experience in classified space programs or what's in other dimensions, telling people this in words doesn't help them. Helping them have direct experience for themselves does help them. There's a difference. So this work, for my part, and I applaud all the people on Earth that are trying to help get disclosure out here. My work is based on my direct experience with everything I reveal in these books, whether it's down the ancient past time track in a solar system or galactic history, or whether it's exposing what's taking place out in the galaxy right now that is going to be beneficial for this planet. People don't know about. In classified UFO communities or anything, they don't know. They have hints and understanding, beliefs, and different races that are out there, but they don't know the bigger picture because they're not out there in the bigger picture doing it yet.
Scott, I would recommend whoever watch our show, okay, or your show in any with whoever should read these two books. Should read these two books. I don't know how to say it enough, but you change your life, like you said. And can I share with my experience with your technique at the end of your books?
Sure, you should. It's your experience. It's not mine.
Yeah.
So
it was wonderful, but there are steps to go, like you should read the whole books first, the two books I would recommend, and then the technique at the end of the book is from the Series agenda, right?
Correct.
You keep watching the show Awaken Hidden Truth with Scott, or any show from Scott Lemrell, and then you go on the techniques behind the book. It was wonderful, like exactly you were in the situation where he was written this book, where he wrote about the book, the techniques. It was wonderful.
Well, let me put it this way. In order for me to write about Sean Rawl or Moon Tarrant in the book, in order for me to write about what's taking place in the days to come, in the later part of the book that hasn't happened yet, I had to be able to write from a perspective that's not on this earth. Or I couldn't have seen it objectively without the influences, negative, fear-ridden influences that are profusely impacted in the atmosphere of this planet. Everything anybody's ever thought or felt in the history of this planet is still running around in the atmosphere up there as frequencies, mental or emotional, bouncing off the ionosphere like radio waves. People are busy putting out negative emotions and imagination about the future every day, adding to it. And then it surrounds people. How are they ever supposed to break free of that influence? If the subconscious mind, artificially created, was forced on them and helps keep them stuck in that pattern. You can't change a person when they're being driven subconsciously in ways they're not conscious of. There's not supposed to be a subconscious mind in a normal human being at all. If it's subconscious, somebody's done something there you're not aware of. That is a problem. How can you have free will if you're being subtly negatively influenced, your nervous system, every day about how you see the future? Tyrants use this to keep people dumbed down, to keep them controlled under their subjugation. And I'm not even speaking about tyrants on Earth now. This goes back into galactic history and histories that people on Earth were made to forget. Goes even deeper than that into spiritual history, in a history that's never been disclosed to the current population on this planet. They couldn't comprehend it right now. They're capable of it when they've got their higher faculties turned back on. And I'm not talking about the brain or the body. who they really are that runs a brain and a body is neither a brain or a body. Never was, never will be.
Scott, it's good for you to mention this because people understand, like maybe they go on journey just 1-2 times and then they know everything. It takes time and practice, you know.
It's not that people need to learn in the future how to work higher faculties of being, like being a sphere of energy and looking in 360 degrees and knowing what's on other planets and talking to other people, moving out of the body, traveling to other dimensions, on a field of energy that is not nuclear, not atomic, that underlies and supports nuclear and atomic energy. And beings can move and telepathically communicate through that medium and move to other realities and other planets and other dimensions while they're alive on this planet. Tyrant beings don't want people on Earth knowing that, because then they couldn't be tyrants over them anymore. What is underway now to solve this problem cannot be reversed by any power on this earth, fortunately. So, no, I'm not worried about the future. Classified people that have watched these shows, they have, know that I've never from day one insinuated or even made an innuendo that they would be harmed. No. That's not what this is about. It's about waking people up so they're not driven to make decisions based from fear. That's what nearly wiped us out in nuclear war many times. Something from space shut down those launch computers, not from Earth. Kindly, nicely. And that was the level of interference they made, no more. Everything else is one-on-one, approaching people, maybe classified, but directly. Helping them change their consciousness so they can make better decisions for themselves and the rest of life on this planet. Do people really think, for a moment, practically, that they're going to go out in spaceships from Earth, out among the stars, carrying dead cow and chicken and lamb parts in refrigerators on those ships, to go play among the stars, busy back on Earth raising billions of animals that everybody thinks they need to slaughter and eat their bodies every day? Do they really think, honestly, that that's what it's like out there? And they're going to take that out there and think they're going to mix it up with all those beings? No, they're not. Not that way. When you think about how complex and how unconscious people are on this planet, not only in what they eat and choose to do, that they take for granted, by themselves, left to their own devices, people on this earth would cease to exist the way they are now. They'd eat themselves into oblivion or pollute the planet till there was nothing left, the direction they're going. In galactic history, there have been instances of world systems that were reached this level of advancement like Earth and were on the brink of annihilating themselves with their own technology they weren't mature enough to use properly. And in each and every case, somewhere out there, with the exception of a few that were allowed to blow up, somebody showed up from out of town, from other worlds, and helped them out of that predicament, or they would not have survived the change. We are not alone in the universe. We never have been. Humans on Earth are not nearly as advanced as even some of our closest neighbors who are human on other worlds. We have the capability to incorporate those advancements into our society on Earth, and we have the ability to recover who and what we are that isn't physical and have an understanding of it, teach our children this. We're capable of it. But for that to happen, the subconscious terror that was put on people without their consent before they were born here needs to be dissolved away or removed first. So people can wake up and feel unthreatened every day of their lives. Because beings in other worlds feel that way every day, unthreatened. Which would you rather have? The planet left alone like it is, misrun by political and religious and other leaders right now, fighting each other over trinkets because they will ruin this place. They have already come close to it many times. Or would you rather have and accept humbly the experience and vitality and kindness of beings from other worlds, human and otherwise, that are kind and would help us out, and not lord it over us, not make themselves feel superior at our expense. They just want us to grow up. They would like us to play among the stars, but we have to do that when we can be trusted to go out there and play with them the right way. Earth is going to have to change in miraculous ways, but it's going to have to come from the technology and advancement of races that know how to do it quickly and efficiently, because people on Earth don't yet understand how to do that. Are they so arrogant they won't ask for help from friends from out of town who would give it for free? Yeah, they are too arrogant right now. But it's because of the subconscious drives that are running their lives and misdirecting their decision making. Do you really think people in Washington, D.C. or the Kremlin are making good decisions every day for their people? They're in fear themselves every day. How can they make good decisions being in fear about the future? Well, you can't. It's a contradiction in terms. So, when I go into the hue, it's being sent out through this radio show to every single living thing on this planet for their benefit. It's not to rule their lives or invade their privacy or anything like that. But it is meant to uplift their vibration and give them the opportunity to step out of the habit, negative bad habits, and begin to use their creative vision of the future and their lives in the proper manner. That's like giving permission to advanced beings from other worlds to come here, introduce themselves, and help peacefully change this planet, which they're willing to do. So what's blocking it? Old habits, ways of doing things since World War II that should have been given up a long time ago, that have to be given up now. Little things like that are just based on fear of letting go. If there are no more tyrants from the stars affecting this world, and there aren't, that's been taken care of. This is a quarantine solar system. Then the only thing left for people to do here is to give up the garbage that's running their lives and become whole and complete as beings for the first time, especially for this planet. First thing that had to happen was the cessation permanently of the polar flips of this planet. It's highly classified. Poles of this planet flip over every 100,000 years. It's like clockwork. Destroy everything on the surface. It's a unique planet. So there's never been allowed a civilization to progress past 100,000 years before it's wiped out, or people take people off and go somewhere else. Calms down, they come back and under treaty, reseed it with life. And recently, the polar flips of this planet have been permanently ceased by beings that people on Earth have no idea even exist that can do such a thing. They're not tyrants. They're not here to harm anybody. They don't want to run our governments. They just want us to grow up for once, Step up into a new class of being. Play among the stars. Why not? People here are prepared for it. It's that simple. Okay. Let's go on a little journey. We'll do this, and this is for everyone listening. I don't care who they are, what walk of life they are in. I don't care if they're presidents or CIA or KG, well, I don't know what they call it now in Russia. Some kind of other name. Or what religion they're in on this planet, this very backward planet, or what race they are, how old they are, how young they are. This is something I do for all life on Earth, including animals, plants, the structure of the planet itself. The hue is a way of connecting into an omnipresent living energy field, a field of energy that lies behind all matter, like what the CERN super collider people in Switzerland call the God particle. The dark matter in space is not dark. Physical eyes just can't see it. It's actually quite bright, and it's full of energy. When people begin to understand more about the nature of that energy, their advancements technologically, spiritually, in every way will be very swift. I will make that proclamation here on this show because it's true. Not only does the hue connect an individual being, like a human being on Earth, with this primordial living energy current that underlies all matter on many dimensional levels, it also sets up a stream of energy between the core of our being, which is white nuclear. It's not nuclear, it's a white kind of core of energy, has a structure, it's spherical, what people on Earth call soul. It's not an astral body that's transparent that looks like the physical body when you die and leaves it. No. That's just a body that somebody sees separating from physical body, which is really living a life on the astral plane, another dimension above the physical worlds. And they misunderstand that too. This white core of our being is made of the exact same energy as this omnipresent field of force, which is not nuclear. And it moves through the entire multidimensional creation, far beyond the void known to most Buddhist monks and some esoteric orders on Earth, way up into upper dimensional realities where no negative and positive natures have ever existed. There's no cause and effect there. If you want to change the lower world systems, it has to change up there first. Which means it's quite a trick to get those guys and girls, whatever they are, the source behind all life, changing its mind and going in a new direction. But that's exactly what's happened recently. When I go into the hue, it's telepathic. It means I'm sending to the core of everybody's being on this planet simultaneously. And I'm not the only one involved. There are billions of beings doing this on many levels. And when I do it, they hear me and they join in. And what it's doing is turning off subconscious drives and fears that people grew up with and that they were forced to bring to this world to forget. Turns them off and allows people to put the body in the trance state called sleep, and they go out of their body with me on a journey, something they should be able to do naturally. When they don't even have this programmed into them from birth that feel like it's natural or normal, it takes a little bit for them to be comfortable with this, but they are capable of it. I sing these tones out in different pitches so that it addresses the presence you each have on different dimensional levels as an Atma, as a spherical being. We, that means the Atma, the real being, the soul, its true destiny and reason for existing, which I'll answer tonight once and for all, is and only is to become a benevolent co-creator with the source behind all life. Not a co-worshipper, a co-slave, not a minion, a co-creator. Why? Because the core of our being is comprised of exactly the same energy in every way as the source behind all life, like a drop out of a mighty ocean of the same thing. We are designed to work in the lower dimensions and in lifetimes to find new ways creatively to make things work better down here in the lower dimensions. The original purpose was to find ways to create the lower dimensions to be mirrors of what exists beyond the barrier between the upper worlds and the positive and negative, good and bad stuff. And that experiment failed. It's never worked. So what we call the experiment of evil, good versus bad and all that, needs to be retired and replaced with something that actually works. To kindly inspire beings to only create that which will be of uplifting benefit to all life on every world and every dimension. Children should grow up knowing this. I'll begin those tones now. I would ask that people listening get comfortable in a seat or lying on a bed, close their eyes, and here's what happens. It's a fact. It's not fantasy. It's not belief. It's knowing. When you close your eyes, your brain turns off, connected to the outside world. Your eyes are not on. No light's coming into them. And when you imagine a beautiful butterfly or being at the beach with your eyes closed, who or what is seeing that beach? The brain doesn't do this. That's not what it's designed to do. It doesn't have a camera in it and a motion picture projector on which you can see things. That's not its function. So you, the being, the spherical being, looking out in the universe somewhere, is seeing what you're imagining. When people begin to understand that one, their lives will change quite dramatically. I'll begin those tones now. Remember, many other beings are doing with this me right now who are not on this earth. When you're sitting in a chair by a window being bored on Earth, and you imagine being somewhere else, anywhere but where you are, and your eyes see out the window at the parking lot, your eyes are seeing what's in the parking lot in the sky. But you, the real you, is seeing the beach or the mountain, or being with someone you want to be with on another planet. And without realizing it, you're actually seeing into other realities. Since you're not taught any of this growing up, why would you know what it is? Sit in this field of energy for just a few moments. I'll be right back. This is serenity of being. It is what your natural state is when all negative emotions and imaginings are turned off. It's uplifting, it's kind, It's energizing, it expands the consciousness and opens your insight into the universe. This is a fact. I'm not making it up. Imagine being above your body, looking down on it. Don't think of it as difficult. Don't think of it at all. It's as easy as imagining a beautiful hummingbird by a mountain meadow flying by your face, stopping to hover, to turn and look you in the eyes. Beautiful lavender grass growing 4 foot high, and you're walking in bare feet down a brown moss-covered path, and you can feel the tips of the lavender blades touch your palms, and it tickles. You can smell lavender and gardenia in the air, and some kind of flower you don't even know what it is. In the air, when you breathe in, it feels like it goes in your lungs and right out your back, and breathes right through your whole being. It's clean, clear, pure. Imagine this. You look up smiling with your feet on moss-covered ground, and you see a sphere of energy hovering above your head. You're in another reality on Earth, and we'll get to that. And if you can imagine it with your eyes closed, even a little bit, you are really there. Not the physical body, because that has gone into the trance state people on Earth call sleep. It means simply that you, the being, out of great expertise, have put the body in the trance state by causing the pineal gland in the center of the brain to secrete serotonin and make melatonin, and put the body on automatic to run the heart and lungs and blood circulation while you're gone. Just that simple. You do it every night. But you're not brought up on a planet where you're taught that's what you're doing, so why would you be able to take advantage of it? When you look up and see this sphere of light hovering above you, you can see its structure through the physical eyes of this body, which is really energy that looks like you. And you can see a white core and a little bit of a bigger layer outside of that, a yellow core. And in the yellow core, several inches thick, you see these little teardrop-shaped luminous energy fields. Those are higher faculties. It goes from yellow to orange, to green, to blue, to lavender, to violet, and the entire sphere has a golden field of energy around it. This is the nature and how an individual Atma or soul is structured. It has structure. It has levels. And there are teardrop shapes in each one of those levels with higher faculties, stored information, past lives, journeys across galaxies into higher worlds and down here. It's all there. But it needs to be recovered, recalled, awakened, exercised, utilized consciously. Then find yourself in the white core of your being, looking down at that smiling body that looks like you, looking up at it. Both are you. The physical body walking in this parallel dimension on Earth, on that brown moss with this 4 foot high lavender grass, is projected from the white core of your being to look just like you, so you can touch the grass, smell the air, breathe the oxygen, and feel the environment. So your body becomes an instrument through which sensory data and other perceptions are gathered by the Atma hovering above it, you, the real you. When you send out the hue, knowing what I've just shared with you, it's not data, it's telepathic truth. It is aimed at waking up in you, knowing this like I do. You have the capability, whether you doubt it now or are in fear of it, you have the capability to recover, to remember. Against all odds, no matter what was done to you by tyrants before you found yourself unconsciously in a human baby body, born on this planet with no memory. You grow up to an adult, and all that's in the brain is what you grew up with in one lifetime here. Nothing else is there. past lives aren't there. Perceptions of other dimensions, other lives you lived on other worlds and other dimensions is not there. That's all stored in the Atma that's running that baby body that grows up, unconsciously, of course. The Atma, the real you, is made of a type of energy that cannot be destroyed by anything in the lower dimensions. Not by the positive, negative streams, not by weapons, not by tyrant negative beings in or out of bodies, not by spooks, goblins, satans, devils, or anything else. It's never been vulnerable to lower dimensional energies. But it has been made under no uncertain circumstances in its past to forget all that. It was never meant to be permanent, this unconscious amnesia that people are living in on Earth today, because that's exactly how they all are. An unconscious amnesia about what they are and what they know that is not a physical body. That is not normal. But on Earth, people think it is because the entire society reinforces this from birth. And it is not what other worlds and the life on those worlds is like. When you look up, you find yourself hovering above the tall lavender grass. And up ahead, you can see this brown moss-covered path winds its way up the side of one snow-capped mountain. And at the base of that mountain, up the plateau, is a huge, crystal-clear domed city covering 3 gold-sided pyramids with quartz crowns. There's an ivory long lower building between those pyramids, a big lake, and little white marble paths that wind between individual ivory-colored dome dwellings. Up the mountainside, 2/3 the way toward the summit, is a cavern opening. Out of it is pouring a blue-green, luminous waterfall, dropping thousands of feet, where it hits the bottom and becomes the formation of a river winding between blue-green forest trees that surround this domed city. And it goes down the mountainside and down the plateau and off to the ocean, which you can see far in the distance. Way out in the distance, you can see the part of a green emerald-colored beach. It's about midday. When you look at this dome city, you can see 3 blue disc-shaped landing pads with 3 craft parked on them. They are 30 feet across with 3 tripod legs, little supports supporting them, and 3 semi-spheric pods under their belly, beautifully sleek, saucer-shaped with a kind of a cobalt blue glass-like top. The most advanced Galactic Interdimensional Alliance world. Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds Scoutcraft. Out in the distance, you see this blue moss path wind its way down the mountainside where it empties into a several hundred feet wide marble circular floor. On the other side of that, it continues straight as an arrow, another mile, to an emerald green beach. You can see it glowing about a foot above the sand. Remember, you're an Atma, so you have telescopic vision. You might be miles away, but you can see it. When you breathe the air here, you have the illusion that you're doing it in a body, but you're conscious that it's a phenomena, and you can feel the whole energy of the atmosphere move through the sphere of you and out the other side. It's like you're in communication from the white core of your being with the energy that supports and keeps this world alive. Down in the center of that white marble floor, which is about a mile from the ocean, there's tropical tall trees on each side of this brown moss-covered path. Well, in the center of this white marble floor, which you are now hovering above it, with myself and Perry, my friend Ambassador Torellian from the Seres race, you can see a physical body appear in the air outside of his Atma, his spherical being. It's 18 feet tall, long blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, larger than a human's on Earth. Pointed ears, dressed in a kind of a tunic. He looks like a Greek god in sandals. He's just showing you what his physical form looked like over 1 billion years before the Seres race raised the molecular time rate of their bodies, dissolved them, and stored them in an atom within the Atma. When he wants to have a physical body appear on any planet, anywhere, he just pulls it out of that storage, uses the omnipresent living force, the you, fills it, manifests it, carries out a mission, then dissolves it and takes it with him. Very different way of living than people in bodies living and dying in unconsciousness. He's demonstrating that we got our DNA for human beings on Earth and other worlds from them originally, long ago in galactic history. Human bodies and their genetics were done and developed so that beings like this could run higher awareness and higher faculties to a properly conditioned brain and nervous system that can handle the enlightenment of it. This is all fixable, reversible in human beings on Earth. In the center of this white marble floor is a statue of a woman 10 feet tall with her hands out to their sides with a glowing green energy around them. When you look down to this beach, you can see that the glow on that beach is coming from the glow around her hands. She's charging it. The statue is of a human woman, but not human as on Earth. Humanoid, you would have to say. She has beautiful features, pointed ears, longer neck and longer fingers than people on Earth. She's 10 feet tall. Beautiful, elegant, translucent gown, bare feet, standing on a blue cobalt kind of, not cobalt, lapis lazuli type of blue stone with gold lace with polished, and she's standing on it. This is a quartz crystal polished statue of this woman with her hands out. Her hair, you can see right through the crystal of this statue. It's perfectly pure. And you can see a woman moving inside it. She's in another dimension, showing herself through the statue's form. And her hair is silver, like silver metal. And you can reach out with the feelings of your Atma and the Atma and touch it, and it's soft. But it looks like silver metal. Her eyes are violet colored. Ivory skin like a moonstone. This woman, the statue of this woman, was brought to this place that exists on planet Earth in a third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. The molecular time rate of all matter in this reality vibrates at the same time rate. You could have a Hubble telescope in that plane and see all the billions of galaxies in space there too, but it's on a bit higher level. This planet that we're on is Earth, but not the one you're used to. You suddenly find yourself above this planet hovering in space, in the void of space, which does not appear black like images you've seen from Hubble telescope or satellites or the space shuttle. Because human bodies see it as black because they can't see that in the higher frequency it is white light with a golden essence, and it's everywhere, packing the so-called void of space, between moons and planets and stars and galaxies, and up through dimensions. It's everywhere. It does not operate by the laws of physics for nuclear matter, atomic energy, however you want to refer to it. But it supports it, feeds it, keeps it alive, maintains it. And you can look down on this Earth and see that there is one large continent on a planet in the same space where Earth is, on a higher frequency that has no polar ice caps. It is a large continent that extends in a sphere from hemisphere to hemisphere, Goes up about 2/3 of the way towards the North Pole, comes down, then it comes down about 2/3 of the way towards the South Pole and comes around. It's irregular. And down at the bottom, near the South Pole, it's still 1/3 of the way away, is this curved emerald glowing beach. You suddenly find yourself hovering above blue-green ocean water, looking at this emerald sand that's in a crescent shape a mile long. And when you look at it, you can see, and you can pick it up in a hand that appears in front of you, and you can see that it's made of little tiny, pure, polished emerald crystals glowing. You can feel the energy of that glowing light go into your hand, right into the core of your being and out into the green layer that is the Atma, running the body you have in the trance state back on the earth you're used to right now. And when you look out in the ocean, you can see Turellian standing 18 feet tall, giving you 2 thumbs up out there, smiling. He does this all the time. And above his head, the physical form, is the Atma, a bit brighter than us, maybe a bit larger. But he doesn't hold that over us. He's extremely advanced as a being. His whole race is. Long ago in galactic history, they brought into creation bipedal, upright walking, different forms of life, human and others and humanoid, brought them up, these bodies up in development to where the Atma could run higher awareness through it, and brought them up into spacefaring capability in the dimensions they were, and then they vanished, stepped into the background for 1 billion years. They recently returned. The Savior's Agenda book reveals this. And they came here because their consciousness was also altered for the better. And they brought a Savior's Agenda book and what it's for to a Galactic Alliance Council meeting, 5,000 members that represent more than 450 million spacefaring cultures in just 1/4 of our Milky Way galaxy. So here he is standing out in this water. You're looking at this emerald green sand and you feel your naked bare feet sinking into it. Now this is a physical form that looks like you, perfectly healthy, 36. And when you look up smiling, you see the real you, the Atma, hovering above it. This is a projection from the core of your being. And it can feel the sand and smell the air and feel the air pressure, smell the salt water. And this green energy runs up its legs kindly, nicely, up through the top of your head. You look up smiling, goes into the white core of your being, and out into the green layer, made up of the spectrum of light, from a white core to a violet exterior with a golden energy field around it. This is the real being. This is what becomes a co-creator with the source, not the human body. When you go back a mile inland, you suddenly find yourself hovering, myself and others, several master teachers I'll describe in a minute, including Turellian, hovering above the air above this woman's statue. She has big wings out her back, made of crystal. This is not to represent an angelic order on earth, as known to people on earth. This is to represent the Atma, the spherical being that's free to fly beyond physical form. She is not from Earth. She's not from the parallel dimension on this Earth that we're experiencing right now. She is from another world, half completely across the Milky Way galaxy, on a world called Zeontranomon 1. Her race is called Zeontranomus. They originate from a galaxy 5 galaxies away, beyond the Andromeda, our nearest galactic neighbor. They came to this parallel dimension in a higher frequency to give this gift of this statue. The green energy that ran up your legs and into your being is for remembering, recall. It is a healing type of transformative energy. So I bring you to a world on Earth that exists that has no negatives in it, no polluted water, no polluted air. It has been a controlled environment by the Seres for many, many hundreds of millions of years. It is a prototype now for what Earth will become. The dome city that we saw up there, the base of the mountain, when we're suddenly hovering above it, you can see people walking around little white pathways near the lake, dressed in elegant garb. Some of them have pale blue skin. You find yourself walking down one of those little pathways inside the huge dome covering the city. And a being walks up to you and me, Torellian standing off in a field, and some birds with long V-shaped split tails with rainbow-colored bodies and big, beautiful, bulbous blue eyes that wrap partly around their side of their head. They look kind of like blue jays, but they have twin sets of wings, like a dragonfly, but they're bird wings, and they're hovering like a hummingbird. They're intelligent. They have a higher genetic structure like a human being, and they have vocal cords, and they're telepathic and have photographic memory capability. And if you look closely at these birds hovering in front of you, singing in beautiful voices, you'll see an Atma hovering above them, running them. The being comes up to you, 6 feet tall, pale blue skin, looks to be about 40, perfectly trim, elegant gown on, and holds up his hands, he has little webs between his fingers. He lifts his neck, there's little slits, 3 of them on each side of his neck. He is from a world called Oceania, and it is out in our galaxy, on the other side of the galaxy, in the same 3rd parallel molecular time rate dimension as this world we are on. They have the most advanced crystalline-based technology in the universe. They are very ancient. Their bodies do not age. The woman in the statue, we're going to go visit in a moment, their race do not age either. The woman in the statue with the silver hair and violet eyes and pointed ears, we're going to go visit. And this master teacher, his name is Opelum, who's just shown you that he's human. His race can breathe underwater or on land. They are not from Earth. But we have genomes and DNA so similar you could mate with them. Yeah, the origination of species that are bipedal in many races, even non-human, originate with some Say-Rays DNA in galactic history. You're going to find him dart as a sphere of being. His body dissolves and he darts through the dome. Torellian does the same, we do the same, and we find ourselves hovering in a circle around this crystal statue of this woman with the glowing green hands. And you look into a band around her forehead that has an upside down faceted green emerald crystal that's glowing, and you're pulled into it, not in a bad way, and you find yourself inside the statue. It's an interdimensional portal, and she is hovering there, the actual being, in the atmosphere. It's all green, smiling, and her hands are held up there too. And in this green atmosphere, the size of a football stadium, it just seems to go on everywhere, there's us hovering around her, and she's telepathically sharing the nature of her world. You can see it appear as a planet in this green atmosphere. It's on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy. It's 4 times bigger than Earth. It has water all over it and land masses all over it. There's no polar ice caps, and it has domed cities on its surface. It has 3 moons circling it at different distances, all the size of Earth, with life and domes on them. And in the distance, you can see 3 suns. It's a trinar system, a blue-white giant, yellow sun like our sun, and a red dwarf. And these planets circle it. She is from that world. You're going to suddenly find yourself transported, and you're going to be walking along a winding, snaking river through a tropical paradise. On one side, you can see 2 twin pillars in a big opening, and some people standing there waving at you. And on the other side, where there's these giant red mesas like you'd find in Sedona, Arizona, is a huge dome covering 3 pyramids, gold-sided, quartz-capped. And up in the sky in daytime, you can see a planet that looks like Earth with rings around it, domes all over it. A man and a woman, mated pair, walk up to us. They're taller, they're 10 feet tall. Atmas are hovering above them, running these forms. And one of them is the woman inside the crystal statue. 10 feet tall, lovely violet eyes, pointed ears, this ivory glistening skin, silver-like hair. And the man, a little taller, is the same. They are talking with us telepathically, being to being, from the white core of the Atma, hovering above these bodies to each of us, hovering above our own that look like us, about 36, perfectly healthy. And they are saying that they're welcoming us to Zeolite 1, their planetary system. These beings, these leaders, have jurisdiction over a little more than half the Milky Way galaxy right now. The Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds has jurisdiction over the other remaining percentage. And there's a few tyrant space-faring races in between, so you can see their day as they are is numbered. These two races have recently joined in harmonious, co-creative unity. And she is telling you that the bodies you see in front of you on their world are 3.5 million years old, unaged. And you look at Torellian standing behind them, and he's telling you that the immortalization they did on their physical form over 1 billion years ago is not 3.5 million years ago old. It is something that he manifests even as a solid physical body wherever he goes. It is a much higher form of immortalization of a physical form because he doesn't need to run it all the time, keep tabs on it. Then you suddenly find yourself hovering in this green atmosphere, surrounding this woman, hovering in the air, and she smiles, puts her hand over her chest, and gives you a respectful nod. We do the same. You find yourself hovering outside this crystal statue now, looking at this white marble floor and the snow-capped peak in the distance, the waterfall coming out, and the domed city. You look the other way out to the coast and you see this emerald green beach glowing, and you find your feet sinking into it again. And you hear the sound of the hue being sung by these birds with long V-shaped split tails and double sets of wings, flying above the ocean, singing in perfect harmony. Hue and different levels. They're conscious beings. Torellian is standing up to with his water, ocean water up to his knees. He's quite tall, good ways offshore. And he's given us 2 thumbs up, giving us a quirky smile. That's what he does. He's a man of few words. Now, Perry and myself, all of you on the journey, several master teachers, Master Opelum, one called Master Ramu, who's revealed in the Emerald Doorway book for the first time on Earth, has, swarthy skin, short cropped black beard and black curly hair, maroon robe and sandals, carrying a crystal device, a crystal staff of quartz, 6 feet tall, with an Egyptian ankh, with Egypt history, with a vertical oval hole with this hole on top. And it's a device he uses to take people on journeys into the higher worlds above beyond the void when they're ready. Carries it because it's a trademark for him. Etta, who is a Dren silica-based creature who's on the front of the Emerald Doorway book and inside it, is about 3 feet long from the root to his tail to his cute nose. He has dexterous hands and feet, strongly built, with little dexterous fingers and toes like a human. He's not really like a salamander per se, because he's quite different. Pale green skin, it's not moist. And his tail is glowing like crystal opal in sunlight because he's hovering there in front of us, standing upright on his hind legs, wiggling his little fingers cutely at us. He has a cute little long snout that the crease of it makes him look like he's amused about something when he's just has his mouth closed. Big bulbous blue eyes, and his tail is growing like an opal, and he's levitating in the air. This is a creature that evolved on the planet Oceania, where Opelin comes from, in large volcanic caverns under the bottom of their ocean. And you'll find out about them. They are courageous to a fault. They would die for you if you befriended them, and they love their wives and family and kids more than humans on Earth understand yet. I have to make it clear. This is a silica-based creature. DNA-wise, it is not carbon-based, and it has natural anti-gravity and flying ability. He has a photographic memory, and he's telepathic and has vocal cords. He can speak with you or talk to you mind to mind or being to being. Above him is hovering an Atma, just like you. My cat, Starlight, has an Atma running that body. He's very advanced. He goes on these journeys. He's on this journey with us now. And you can see my little cat, my little white snowshoe cat, who's on the floor out of his body right now with us. Usually he's on the back of the chair. And he's hovering beside Etta with his little kitty tail glowing. Etta's been training him. And he's here in this other reality as an Atma out of his kitty body. He's very advanced. Make no mistake about that. And yet on Earth, people would just think of him as an animal or a kitty. He's an Atma, like you or me. And in this case, quite advanced and a very good friend of mine. Find yourself hovering above this planet, Earth, with no polar ice caps, looking down on this huge continent. You can see right through the planet. On the other side is a continent 2/3 its size, which is still called Atla to this day, what people would call Atlas or Atlantis. But in this reality, the poles of the planet never flipped. In the Earth we're used to, the poles flipped every 800,000 years, destroying all life. That has been permanently ended. So the world we live in now can take its place among the stars, and beings can evolve for hundreds of millions of years uninterrupted. Earth is unusual, unique. No other planet I know of flips its poles every 100,000 years, except Earth, or used to. So the Golden Age to Iron Age concept on Earth is ended. No more Golden Age to Iron Age for this planet. It's going in a new direction now, unexpected. You can see this Earth, and next to it the moon. But in this reality, 3 dimensions up, higher frequency of molecular time rate, is a moon with water and land and sky and clouds, 5 dome cities on the front, turning on its axis peacefully revolving around the Earth. And as the backside comes into view, there's Dome City back there in a very more rocky area. And then you see the Earth change. You see the Earth you're used to with polar ice caps, the continents you're familiar with seeing, the oceans, and the crater pockmarked moon that does not turn on its axis and has no atmosphere, or very little. And then you find yourself hovering in the atmosphere above where you live, wherever that is on Earth. And then you're hovering as a sphere above the body on Earth that's in the trance state we call sleep right now. You're going to put that body into the same state when you go to bed tonight. Only this time, you're consciously moving through this journey while the body's in the same state. This is out-of-body travel 101. And you look down on that body, smiling kindly at it, and you send the rerun of this entire experience down into the pineal gland, the center of the brain. Kind of lights up brain cells, gentle. You see that green energy kind of flowing through there, and then it moves out of your body, out into the planet Earth, on its way to be of benefit to others. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Thank you, Scott.
It gets intense sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. My experience this time, Scott, I could see the Opelum, Master Ramu clearly, like watching movie this time.
This is very good. That's very more heartwarming to me, because that's exactly what happens when it becomes your experience, not mine.
But like I said, Scott, read the whole book, go on the journey, and exercise the techniques.
I wanted to say too, when you put this journey, which I've recorded on YouTube, it'll have my 4 website addresses. People go there, and for 3 of the 4 sites have language translators, so you can turn it into Thai and read everything on there in Thai. watch videos and read the articles and all that kind of thing. And it will transpose the English language into your language. At least the websites, 3 of them do that now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Total Spectrum Publishing that does not yet have a translator on it, but Total Spectrum Productions, Total Spectrum Media, and ParallelTime.com do.
Okay.
The books are there. All the links are provided to all the online retailers, so people can buy them around the world. If you go to Amazon.com in France, say, or in Canada, which is .ca, then it'll go to Amazon there, and the book will be printed on demand and shipped to people locally, so that it doesn't have the exorbitant cost of shipping across the ocean. So they're print on demand available, and the digital ebooks are available. The links are provided. I don't know how it works in Thailand, because I know there's no Amazon there, but I know people in Thailand can order books through a bookstore there, and then one of the distributors I have an agreement with will print on demand and distribute books to bookstores around the world.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so it's not yet in other languages. That's extremely expensive, very time consuming. You got to hire people for many months and at least 3 or 4 translators to check each other's work for each language. And then each book has to have a new cover made with that language on it for this cover. And the whole book has to be published again in another language, each language. So it's quite an ordeal to get it all done. Now, if you're J.K. Rowling, for instance, you can, they print it in every language because it sells, 450 million books, hardcover alone at the time. So the expense for it is justified in that case. When these books become more popular, then we'll have these translated into other languages, for sure. But at least the websites can be changed for some help to Thai people in Thai or French or Italian or whatever they need. So I want to leave that with you, and people will find the website links on your YouTube video when you put this up on your YouTube channel.
Yes, Scott. The last video I did that too. Under the video, people can click on.
That's very great. That's really good for them, because what you're doing, I want to thank you, Perry, for having the courage to do this with me. And for having the insight to want to wake up yourself, because it's having a good effect on others.
I have to thank you to you, and to friends too, Scott. The life has changed so much, and I would like everybody to have the same experience. You feel happier in life and understand more about life, and you have less and less fear.
One of the things that marks a change in a person when I work with them is that the fear they used to have of the future begins to dissolve away.
Yeah.
And when they catch themselves thinking and imagining in a negative way, they can stop themselves more quickly under their own control and turn that stuff off. Go right into you and shut it down. Go about your day. Don't worry, be happy, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you all pleasant dreams, and I will say good night, and I will stop this recording now, so you'll have an end to this session. We can chat if you want, Will.
Okay.
Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Pleasant dreams. Go ahead and wake up. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Go beyond your own fear and have the courage to recover who you are. There are myself and others from other worlds and other realities are there to help you when you're out of your bodies at night. Just remember that. Good night.
Good night.